Rock and roll. All right, party time.
Godzilla said that I should learn to fight my own battles. No.
Hello, cadets. Welcome to another episode of the Big Monster Briefing Room. We have a very special episode today because we are going to do the show, or the training film, Piranha. And we actually have one of the people that was the star in the movie to kind of help us along through this training film. And we'll bring her up in just a moment. First off, let me bring up my assistants, my able-bodied assistants, Major Millie Hazzard and Sergeant Havoc.
Hello. Hello, General. This is a very special show. You know, we're not going to be here for a little while. We're taking some weeks off, right?
Right. The Big Monster Briefing Room is going to take a few weeks off for the summer, and we'll be back in mid-September. But I thought it would be nice if we could do a special show just before we take the break, and we decided to do Piranha, directed by Joe Dante, and yes, and we have with us actress Belinda Balaski, who did several Joe Dante films, including the Howling and Gremlins, Gremlins 2. And she's in Amazon Women on the Moon. She's done quite a bit of wonderful training film movies. So let's go ahead and bring her up, Ms. Belinda Balaski.
Hello.
There she is. Thank you for agreeing to come and spend some time with us on this particular training film.
Sure.
Hopefully it actually has a military angle to it.
Great. I'm real good on that.
So let's go ahead and start the film. It's a New World Pictures. I'm sorry. It was 1978 when it was made. We start out with a full moon and two hitchhikers, backpackers are going through the woods there, and they make it to a locked facility. It's a military facility, scientific experiments go on in there, and they decide, hey, let's break in and go swimming in their tank.
Which was actually shot around midnight at Griffith Park, and that's my friend Roger there.
Griffith Park.
Yes, it was. There's a pool that I guess had some very cold water in it, and I do not know how these two got in it, but they did.
Wow.
They must have been offered more than $100.
That's it. If you're an extra, you get $50 in lunch. But no, they actually had lines. They had quite a long scene here, and then of course we see the piranha eye opening when they get close to the water. And what is happening here is that the military was creating intelligent piranha fish that were very vicious. They were going to dump them in the rivers in Vietnam, and then the Vietnam War ended. So they continue to experiment, but these piranha fish are here at this facility in this thing, and they're keeping them there.
Right. And these kids they were trying to make them capable of going from river to ocean.
Yes.
Yes, that was one of the
go from freshwater to saltwater. That's correct. That was another perk of this particular project. So she looks a little like Marjorie Taylor Greene there. Anyway.
Yeah.
So she talks this guy into going a little skinny dipping in this. It looks very the water looks kind of greenish.
It's ice cold. It's midnight. I mean, I'm standing there watching them shoot this scene, and it's nighttime. It's freezing.
So you were actually invited to the set because your friend.
Yeah, I went to the set because Roger's a friend of mine, and
your friend was there. Okay. He is the first victim in the movie. He has that distinction.
That's right.
And yeah, he's getting bit, and then she gets all chewed up, and opening credits.
And opening credits. There you go.
This film is Piranha.
And this is totally not a Jaws ripoff.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
A spoof.
Now, actually, this training film is supposed to be a little dark comedy, right? A little bit.
All Joe's movies are dark comedies.
Yeah,
no Joe at all. I mean,
true enough.
Between politics, humor, and horror, that's where he lives.
And we thought we'd throw in the slide with your name on it there.
There's a credit.
On the bloody water.
I fought for that credit.
You're actually high up on the list. You're actually before Paul Bartel. As far as the casting.
That's because they wanted me to do the they tied these fish to me, the piranha, right? They put gaffer's tape literally on my skin and sewed the fish to me. And then I had to carry about 30 fish over to the pool and get in. Once I got in, they were weightless. But in the meantime, it was pretty intense. Everything was fine until they went to take the gaffer's tape off. You got it.
Then it becomes the 40-year-old virgin when they're ripping the hair off his chest.
When we were at Daly's and Roger walked in and watched the dailies on the scene of the fish and he said, "More blood, Joe." And that meant shoot it. And he said, "Shoot it closer." And so then it was suddenly, well, we have to reshoot the scene. And so John Davison asked me if I would be willing to reshoot the scene. And I said, yes, if I get the billing that I asked for and if I get a bodysuit.
There you go.
I upped my billing right there.
There you go. So when you're talking about Roger, you're talking about Roger Corman, who was executive producer of the film.
Yes, absolutely.
Famous for actually not reshooting things.
That's right. That's right.
Made you do it. I want to see the tape come off again.
No, that was really still not over it.
So you can fill it still today. So we got Richard Deacon at the beginning of the film. Most remember him from the Dick Van Dyke Show. And Maggie McKeon is playing Heather Menzies. She's searching for the two missing.
Maggie.
Yeah, she's playing Maggie. She's looking for the two missing teenagers, the 30-year-old teenagers.
That's right. No. Funny.
We get some nice reaction shots from him there. She's saying, "I'm part hound dog. I can find anything," and then she can't find her tickets. And then we get Keenan Wynn.
Love him.
Who is delivering booze to Bradford Dillman. Bradford Dillman is playing Paul Grogan. His wife has left him. He's drunk. He drinks a lot and lives on the river there. And he makes poor old Keenan Wynn go off and get his groceries for him.
Oh my gosh, it's funny. Interesting.
Keenan is explaining how he loves to live on the river. His name is Jack in the movie. He likes to live on the river. The river has everything for him.
Right. But don't forget he has a daughter.
Paul does, yes.
Well,
she's at the camp close by.
Right, that's right.
Yes.
Okay. So he stays close, that's why she's at the camp, because it's right here.
So Maggie comes to see him and ask him if he's seen the backpackers come through. He says, "No, I haven't seen them." And the conversation leads, he's trying to eat while she's talking to him. He goes outside, and then eventually she cons him into going to this military facility to look for these kids.
Again, Griffith Park.
More Griffith Park.
More Griffith Park.
She finds a locket, a necklace that belongs to one of the teenagers.
Certainly not Roger.
So let's break in. we're going to break into the facility. And there's a laboratory there. And there's all sorts of things that we can't see or that they don't see, but we see them. Little creatures running around, little mutant creatures.
So Joe. That's so Joe.
And they're obviously animated. He used an animator for that part.
Mm-hmm.
And they do see.
That was real. What do you mean animated?
Yeah, right. She's doing better on my show than I'm doing.
We have her be a host now.
You want to co-host for a while? So she decides, let's go ahead and drain the water so we can see if the bodies are at the bottom of this pond that they have here. And that's when Kevin McCarthy leaps out and starts to strangle Bradford Dillman, who's just in the way.
And Kevin's a scientist, so he knows exactly what's going on. So he's well aware of what will happen when she pulls the plug.
Dr. Robert Hoke.
Oh, there you go. Right.
And he gets conked out, and he steals their Jeep while they find a skeleton down in the bottom of the empty swimming pool there, for lack of a better term. And of course, he rolls the Jeep.
Little action never hurt anybody.
Yeah, he's keeps things moving fast. And he's still not giving up the what's going on. He's staying secret. He's keeping mum. And they decide that now they don't have a Jeep, they're going to take a raft that him and his daughter built a couple of months ago. They're going to take a raft up the river to the camp where his daughter.
That looks pretty safe.
Exactly. It's like, okay, you can't call Jack to come pick you up.
No.
You might have saved the poor guy's life. And then we meet the daughter, Paul's daughter, played by Shannon Collins.
Darling girl. Absolutely. Yeah. We found her in Austin. Or San
Austin. Mm-hmm. Okay. This was shot mostly in LA though, right?
No, this part was shot right now we're in Texas.
Oh, Texas. Okay.
We're in San Marcos, really.
Okay.
Good old San Marcos.
Everybody, yeah.
And that is Laura, played by Melody Thomas. She's the other camp counselor, the other nice camp counselor. And Paul Bartel shows up for his part. I think Sergeant Major Havoc would say he's a douchey McDouchebag.
At least.
He's not a very nice guy.
No, he's so mean with his little girl.
He's mean to all the kids.
He is.
And it's so bad that they end up, playing darts with his picture on a dartboard.
That was I asked Joe, do you have a headshot of Paul? He said, I do. Why would you want it? I said, for my dartboard. Oh, he said. And of course, when Paul walked up, he said, oh.
Yeah, that gave him a whole scene where he gets to pull it down. And
that's right.
And that was all your idea. That's fantastic. So, she's obviously a very nice kid. And he's like, you got to get out there. You got to do the swimming thing. She's afraid of things that are in the water. And she's rightfully so. Yeah.
Especially here.
And Keaton Wynn and his dog are on their little docks fishing. And of course, Keaton Wynn gets attacked by piranha that are now in the lake or in the stream. Because
they drained the pool.
Yes. They drained the pool and it drained down into the stream.
There you go.
So what they established later on in the film is they're heading out to sea. They're going to go out to sea because they can live in salt water. So they're on the raft.
Have you been to
and they came across. I just want to say Keenan Wynn's place, but it's Jack's place.
Yes.
And the dog is barking, and there's blood all over the dock, and it doesn't look good. And of course, they find Jack with his legs stripped. By the way, we show graphic things on this show that's not for kids. And again, we do a timeline of the entire movie, so there are spoilers. We are the Cliff Notes of horror movies, trading films. So he crawled all the way up there, but didn't make it.
Sad moment.
Yeah, because it's Keenan Wynn,
It's Keenan. I know.
such a nice guy.
He was.
Everybody does Keenan.
And his father was Edwin,
Keenan and Kevin. They love. Yes.
Yes. So there's the dartboard. That was Belinda's.
Well, he was being so mean to her, and I was trying to make her feel better. So
Right.
I thought it was a
Well, that
perfect
makes sense.
choice. Yeah.
So, and that's an actual headshot.
It is his headshot.
He was using that as a headshot at that time.
That's perfect.
This was before eating Raoul,
It was, yes.
He went on to direct
Couple
that and
years.
star in that. Your
Uh-huh.
character's name is Betsy in this, by the way.
Yes, it is.
And Betsy probably has the most glorious death scene in this entire movie.
Seems to be memorable. A lot of people tell me about it.
And you're actually working with her on a plan for her not to do the swimming thing tomorrow.
Right.
So you've
How to
actually used
get
some
out of
red
it.
marker on her knees. Oh, we'll say you scraped your knee, and if that doesn't work, you can just crawl under a boat.
Which is-
And she's all on board.
Mhm.
So, and you look out at the lake a lot, like there's something not quite right. You do that a lot in this film.
There's something not quite right in that lake. It's a river, and
River.
you can. Well, I mean, except for that, I want to go swimming in it. Isn't that a scene before this? Where I
There's a
say,
scene coming up. It's a night
oh,
scene.
coming up. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's coming up a little bit, where
Okay.
you and Laura do that. Here's a kid and his dad, and they're fishing, and they've got a trap, like a shrimp trap, I guess. I don't know, and it's stuck on the bottom. He's trying to pull it out, and with the minute we see this guy with his arm in the water, we know what's going to happen. There's no doubt. He even looks like the kind of guy that, would become piranha fodder.
Looks a little like Stacy Keach there.
He did. I was just thinking that myself.
Wow.
I mean,
Yeah,
looks like
that's good-
Keach,
good
doesn't
call.
he? Yeah. But Keach was
Stop
well
it.
beyond this by then.
He was already doing Mike Hammer.
Almost.
So the father says, "Keep away!" And the kid is
Right.
in front of him. That's not traumatizing, right? And the boat capsizes, and the kid amazingly gets onto the top of the boat before the piranha eat him up.
Set decorating did that. Just kidding.
So now the kids are jumping into the river with their inner tubes. Swimming time.
It's camp.
Yeah. And it's the dinner bell being rung. And we go back to the raft, and Kevin, Dr. Hoke, sees the boy on his boat upside down. And he knows what's happened. So he finally has told Paul and Maggie about the piranha. But he hasn't told them how to stop them. And he jumps in to save this kid. He jumps into the water to help pull this kid over to the raft. And of course, the piranha munch. They go after him. And there was a particular sound these piranha make
Like that sound.
when they feed. That's the one thing about this movie that just sticks with you, is that sound that they make.
Yes.
It sounds almost like a machine of some kind when they're eating. And that's the last sound you hear in the movie, is they just show you the ocean, and all of a sudden you hear that sound. And then you know.
Right. All right. Well,
So he's getting eaten, but he still manages to pull the boat over
right.
in his last heroic move. And then Kevin McCarthy picks up his pink slip, his check, and goes home.
Goes joins Keenan for a drink.
Yeah.
More than likely.
I got my leg stripped. Oh yeah?
Hold my beer.
The blood, they pull his body onto this carcass, onto the raft, and the blood gets into the water, and the fish start to eat the binding, the ropes and stuff that are binding the raft together.
In
It's a
episode.
wrap.
So they realize it. They're like, don't. They push his body off the raft, thinking that's going to solve the problem. But the fish have already started the job. So they keep continuing to pull the logs apart on this raft. And these people amazingly make it to shore just in time.
That's movies.
The three survivors,
Right.
the boy and Paul and Maggie. So I think this is the last time we see that boy. The boy disappears. There,
Yeah, the boys. He goes home to mom.
I guess he goes home to mom. Yeah, there you go. So now Bradford Dillman has to run to the dam because he doesn't want them to let the fish through the dam.
He
Right.
knows what's happening now.
Right. So he races to the guy that's opening it, and he just stops him just before he opens the dam. And they call the military in. And there's your money shot right there. All the military trucks coming in.
I wasn't there then. What is this? Oh, okay.
And they're throwing meat out into the river to see what happens. And we get Barbara Steele.
She was
did a lot
wonderful.
of horror movies before this.
She was
and
wonderful in this. part.
Dr. Mengers, yeah, she plays Dr. Mengers. She was with Dr. Hoke on the project and was very close to him, evidently. And
perhaps they
Colonel
were very
Waxman,
close.
played by Bruce Gordon. Now, Waxman doesn't like the fact that these guys are being so vocal about the piranha. He's going to lock them up. He's going to keep them under guard in a tent. And especially since Paul is playing Mr. Know-It-All and saying, "Look, the fish can get around this, and they can get to the river anyway, this way. You know, even if you poison them here, some of them are probably gonna make it around this little thing here over to the river." And then we have a little heart-to-heart with Maggie and Dr. Mengers, where she finds out that her and Dr. Hoke were very close. And then we get a very interesting scene where Maggie has to distract a guard who she's not sure if he's gay or not. And she flashes him and he gets conked on the head by Paul.
Well, she didn't really flash him. That was an insert.
Yes. I thought that might be a bug.
In defense of Heather, I have to say that she insisted. And Joe, of course, had to sit in his hotel room and audition girls coming in and flashing.
Oh, the problems people have.
I know. It must have been a really awful night.
We're so glad to have you here to share
Aren't
these
you?
stories with us.
Happy to hear these little.
This is wonderful.
I'm
This is
really happy
perfect. This
too.
is exactly
He's
what we
gonna love
wanted.
This.
This is exactly what we wanted.
Never speak to me again.
No.
That's all right.
So Paul Bartel has a very funny scene where he's woken up and he hangs up on Paul saying, "Don't call back here." So that didn't work. And then they get pulled over by the police.
Isn't that
and they
when
get put
you
in jail.
left them? Yeah, that's when
Yeah. They get put in jail.
Let's
Again,
cover
being a
your
little too
Heather.
vocal about the piranha. And nobody's going with them on this. And then we find out later that there is a huge resort that's opening up, and the general has financial interest in this with Dick Miller, who's coming up in a little while, as Buck Gardner. And there's some storytelling and some interesting.
I'm not sure why you would freeze frame that shot, but okay.
It's interesting
Thanks.
storytelling.
It's all right, Barrera. Your turn will come.
I thought you would enjoy that.
Yes, no. It was actually very fun to have all the kids in to tell them this, those stories you tell at camp.
Creepy campfire stories.
Everybody's terrified to go to bed after that, right?
So another phone call from Buck Gardner, played by Dick Miller, who's the head of the resort that's opening up, big grand opening, and Colonel Waxman. And then we have the scene where the two counselors are outside and you're about to go swimming.
Right.
and you would have been eaten at that point.
Well, this is the scene that I wrote because Paul and I wanted to work together. And
Yeah.
we had just finished doing Cannonball and kept saying to Joe, gosh, we're here on set, on location, both Paul and I. And
Yeah.
Paul would say, both Belinda and I are here, Joe. I mean, in case you wanted to do a scene, because we don't have a scene,
Yeah.
And Joe would roll his eyes and say, I know. Finally, he said, okay, write one. So I wrote that scene, which I love.
Awesome. Can we go back to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, you're sitting on the end of the dock and you're saying, there's something just doesn't feel right. And the other one, Laura's trying to go swimming. She's like, well, come swimming with me. Let's go swimming. And then Paul Bartel shows up. What is his name? Dumont shows up.
Yes, something Dumont. Yes.
And you tell him, we think there's some people trying to swim over there. And he goes over there. So it's a nice little comical scene for him. And again, it's a nice little like foreshadowing scene for you and the other counselor. We know tomorrow's going to be, a Piranha Fest. and they could have had a little succulent before meal snack if Paul Bartel hadn't shown up. So it's kind of ironic. So in jail, Maggie is she's got a plan.
Clever girl.
Yeah, she's gonna kick the pipe in the cell there loose. She's gonna crack the toilet lid. And she's going to beat him over the head with it and take his keys. But the keys are attached to his pants. So I don't know whose idea that was.
Probably Joe.
But they have to take his pants with them to get the keys.
Yes.
To the cars, the cruisers. So we have a scene where he's left there without his pants on. And in the next scene, the guy that arrested him and brought him in, he gets the pants in the face when they drive by. So.
Oh right, yes, that's right. He flings them. That's right.
His big claim to fame. I got my partner's pants in my face during Piranha.
I got pants on Piranha.
Pantsed. So we come to the big grand opening. Dick Miller makes his big opening speech to the crowd.
Yeah.
And again, this does kind of harken back to the beach scene in Jaws, except it's a river. It's a river.
But it's totally not a ripoff.
Of course not.
Not at all.
It's a spoof.
Paul and Maggie are on the way.
Spoof.
Written by John Sayles, by the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So they're on their way to the rescue. They're gonna try to get to the. Actually, they're going to where his daughter is, because they're going to do the swimming thing first.
Mm-hmm.
And there are the kids out there. She is now hiding under a boat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get the obligatory undershot of people's bottoms in the water when the whatever it is, it's going to bite you is coming. Going to bite you in the butt.
What a setup.
And there she is. She's under the boat. She's watching.
Mm-hmm.
So what's interesting about this scene is she does become a hero. She comes out of the boat and she gets a raft and she wants to save the two counselors, whom she likes very much. So this is when the biting starts. The reactions start. I can only imagine how many shots they had to get for these two attack scenes. My goodness.
No, we only did it once.
Well, I mean, again, for these two attack scenes, this one and then the one at the resort.
Oh, the resort is
the different reaction shots, the different shots of the attacks, the different shots underwater. I mean, there must have been a zillion shots to edit for these things. Paul Bartel has the distinction of being the only person in the movie to be actually bitten by a piranha that jumps out of the water. That's the only time in the movie they did that. That's the only one who got bitten in the face by a piranha.
Right.
You would think that more of these things would be jumping around out of the water and biting people, but he's the one that gets bit. He gets bit.
You do know how they did that, right?
No,
they train the fish to jump. No.
They have a string over his ear. They pull it.
Yes.
Okay, Paul, I want you to make it look like it jumped. There you go. Make it look like it's killing you.
The two of them together, Joe and Paul, were hysterical to be around. Let me tell you.
The famous line from Ed Wood: "Roll around, make it look like it's killing you." That's movie making at its finest, right there.
Funny.
And a nice little bite mark on his cheek.
Mm-hmm.
He actually gets very bloodied trying to rescue kids in this scene. So he actually turns out to be
A pretty good guy.
a good guy in that respect. Here she is coming out from under the boat, and she goes and gets a raft. She tries to push the boat, but the boat's too heavy. So she goes and gets an inflatable raft. She can carry that. Perfect. And you two are amazingly, your legs are not being bitten up. I guess because there's so many kids in the water that they're eating.
Younger blood.
I guess. So she actually paddles out there to try to save you girls, and becomes a hero. And she ended up saving Laura.
Go figure.
But your tube, you're having some trouble with your tube, and you go under, and that's it. Poor Betsy.
But that's a famous shot, and that shot was actually shot in a pool.
Mm-hmm.
With about 30 guys holding a rope that was around my feet and my ankles and pulling me from one end of the pool to the other.
Wow.
I mean, it
Now,
looks like
did they
I'm
use like a
going
red
down.
filter?
It looks like I'm going down, but I'm really just going across underwater.
They use like a red filter over the camera?
That I don't know.
There
mean for the blood and
wasn't
everything?
blood in the water, right? Or red.
Oh yeah, no, I think they're pouring Caros or all kinds of stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
They kind of ruined the pool, and then they had to pay for fixing the pool. And
Whose pool was it?
It belonged to a college or a high school.
Oh, jeez. So
Yeah.
the movie company had to pay to repair the pool.
I'm afraid these are things he doesn't want me to see, I'm sure.
We got a scoop. But actually, those shots of you underwater make it onto a lot of the promo and press for this film, for this training film.
It's true. Yes.
So obviously it was worth it.
And my sister's son was about 7 years old when the movie came out. And when he saw it, he completely came unglued and started crying and thought I was dead. And
He thought you had died.
He thought I died, and he was like insisting that she call me to make sure that I was alive. She kept trying to explain it to him. It was very cute.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
And again, very traumatizing for Paul's daughter and Laura, your friend.
Mm-hmm.
But we do get the father and the daughter together. Daddy.
Briefly, because then
Yeah,
he's
a
got
very
a
short
long
time.
drive to make.
I mean, she's there at the end when he's dying. They leave that kind of open at the end, with whether or not he looks worse than Kevin McCarthy did.
He does, but
On the raft.
he's made it through all these traumas. I feel like he would live.
You felt like he made it through.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
he made it.
They left that up to the audience.
They did.
Okay, so Maggie calls Buck. Buck, Dick, yes, whatever you want to call him.
That's his porno name.
He's a real buck in this movie. And he's like, what is this, crank call? Hey.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh, I missed Dick.
Dick Miller, I would imagine he's a lot of fun on the set.
He is so much fun, and he's such a sweetheart.
Yeah. I think I've heard also from other people that he's just a lot of fun to have around.
Oh, he
That's
is.
probably why
He's
Joe.
hysterically funny, Well, unless you
bucket of blood.
unless you play poker with him and win.
Uh-oh.
I won $6, and he was mad at me for years. Okay.
Oh, geez. we were talking the other day about Peter Falk likes to play pool. He actually stipulates that he wants a pool table on the set. So
Oh,
for
nice.
between takes,
That's
between
nice,
takes,
right.
yeah, you get to play pool. and he's very good. He's a hustler. He's really good at it, or he was, I should say. So okay, so
I love Columbo.
excuse me, pardon me. Every now and again, I'll jump into a voice. So they decide, okay, nothing more we can do here. We got to try to get to the resort before these things make it to the resort. And that's when we see Paul Bartel lying by a poor little kid carcass, and he's been through a lot. It shows.
He's learned his lesson. Do you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. So the daughter obviously cares for her father a lot. We get that in this, and then again we get the dinner bell right after. It's time for them to feed now at the other place, the resort. And,
I'm dead. I don't know anything after this.
You haven't seen the end of this?
Of course I have, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. No,
I can only imagine how hot he must have been in that code.
Oh, it was so hot down there. And isn't Geach
hot.
Cook in this scene? Is Geach in here? Geach Cook is in this scene, I think. Isn't he?
Now is he the assistant?
No, I don't know. I can't really tell if that's him or not. Almost, I think it is.
Yeah, it looks like him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Geach, all right.
Mm-hmm. He was a great musician. He's a good friend of mine, old friend of mine.
And he made it into the film.
Mm-hmm.
And they're on the way again in their stolen police cruiser.
They do a lot of stealing, don't they?
They have a lot to answer for after he heals from all those piranha wounds. And the general and the doctor come in. They established that they were going to be at this soiree earlier on. Of course, the general has financial interest in this, and we're all anticipating. We know that the fish are coming. We know they're out there.
Yeah, there's no way around it. The fish are going right down that river.
Now, is this all
You
done?
better jump the shark.
This is all
Jump
done in
the
San Marcos, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can tell by that tree line. It doesn't look like LA at all.
Yeah, he's gonna jump the piranha. So we have this scene where the divers go down into the water. They're the first to be attacked. And the skier sees one of their carcasses float to the top of the water, and he realizes something's wrong, and he's trying to signal to the two girls in the boat. They're obviously stoned. They're like, he says faster.
No, he's trying to get them to
They're
slow
pumping the
down.
gas.
They're like,
And that's the girl that probably doubled for Maggie in that one scene. Anyway, that's my guess.
possibly.
And we have the pyrotechnic scene where the boat goes through the other boat, and
Oh, right. Yes.
this is when stuff starts to happen. The piranhas start biting.
These are very old kids, huh? Oh, these are just tourists. Okay, never mind.
Yeah. Yeah, in this scene, it's adult feed.
Right, that's right.
they most of the kids were on the beach watching.
Yeah. I know
Being
they were,
traumatized.
weren't they? And the adults were in the water.
And the adults were in the water this time for this one. So the general is on a floating bar that's out there, and there's only supposed to be 18 people on it. And they clearly show that sign. Joe clearly shows that sign, so you understand there's going to be a scene where a bunch of people jump on this thing, and it's going to tip over. He wants you to know ahead of time. This is what's going to happen.
This is when is it going to happen?
The general is going to be on it when it happens. So the assistant comes up to Buck and says, the piranha are eating the guests. I think that's his actual line. The piranha are eating the guests. And we get some nice special effects makeup, things, and screaming.
So
This,
subtle. It's so subtle, isn't it?
yeah. Was this Rick Baker doing the makeup?
That's a good question.
Was it Rick Baker doing the makeup? Or
Oh, for
somebody?
this, possibly, or Jewel. There was, he had 2 other assistants that were working with him, and probably Jewel did this. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But he made the piranha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And there they are making for the floating bar. Only 18.
It was actually Rob, that made the piranha, not Rick. Rob Bottin.
Rob Bottin.
Oh,
yeah, it was Rick Baker. Yeah.
Yeah, because Bottin also did The Howling.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, pandemonium, people getting their arms ripped off. Bradford Dillman finally shows up. Paul shows up just in time to watch it all go down.
And find his daughter. Isn't he looking for her now?
No, his daughter, he left her back at Sleeping.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Yes. Okay, we're at the other. Mhm.
Yeah, he was just hoping to stop this before it happened, but too late.
Too late.
It'd been a short movie if he had. So Dick Miller, again, aghast at what has become of his enterprise.
The end of his career.
Yes, the general falls into the water. Now, I double checked this because I thought this actor who plays this general might be the guy that plays in the beginning of Who Framed Roger Rabbit as the studio head, but it's not. It's a different actor. This guy did a lot of TV stuff. His name is Bruce Gordon. Did a lot of TV work, few movies, and then, of course, Barbara Steele watches him get eaten by piranha.
It was so great to work with Barbara. I mean, not that I got to work with Barbara, but I just loved that she was there.
So you got to hang out and talk with her, right?
No, you're so intimidated by her. You just stare.
Really?
Yeah.
She doesn't seem to be an intimidating.
I was pretty young. It was like my first, maybe my second movie,
Right.
Maybe third, because I'd done Bobby Joe. Yeah.
So they decide they're going to hop in a boat. They're going to steal a boat. They steal everything.
They steal everything. Yeah.
They're going to steal a boat. It's all in the name of saving lives. All in the name of saving lives from piranha. They jet out. That's probably Buck's boat. They jet out to a, I guess it's a sanitation kind of. He's going to open the valve, to pollute the water and kill all the fish before they get out to sea. But unfortunately, where they're going, it's underwater. Evidently, the tide is high. It's underwater. He has to go under the water. So he ties a line around himself. He gives it to Maggie. He says, "Count to 100, and if I don't come on 100, just gun it.
Go without me."
And I'll be bobbing bait.
Oh, right. Drag me behind you.
I'll be keel hauled.
And Heather at this point was not married to Bob Urich yet.
I'm sorry?
I said Heather was not married to Bob Urich yet.
Oh, Heather married Bob Urich.
Yes.
I did not know that.
A couple of years later, yes.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He was very popular then.
He was wonderful. Yeah.
Did he come around and watch shooting?
A wonderful person.
Did they know each other?
What?
Did they know each other?
I had done, I think it was SWAT with him.
Oh, okay.
He had to carry me around that set for like a week or something. I kept saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry."
But I'm loving this.
He was fine. He's a big, strong guy, but I was like, "Oh God, this poor guy."
And he ended up with Heather.
Yeah, they had a very lovely marriage and children, and yeah, it was very sad when he died.
Here are the fish. They're on their way just before he jumps in.
Right as he's diving.
So we know this is not going to go well.
No.
So he swims, gets to the place, breaks through a window.
Right.
And which means when she pulls him back through there, there's going to be jagged glass. Anyway.
Details, Sugar glass. Come
but
on.
at that point, it's not going to matter that much. And he finds the valve that he needs to turn. It's not turning easily, of course.
Looks a little rusty, doesn't it?
As he's running out of breath, and he's, the piranhas show up.
I think it's rusted in place.
Yeah. but he does manage to get it open with a lot of effort. And this is probably in the same swimming pool at the school. No, I'm kidding.
I can't even see the shot. What is it? It's very dark.
Yeah, well, the dark part of the shot is the fish swimming to him to start eating him.
Got it.
The little picture is him turning the wheel still, trying to get.
Okay. So it's just a dissolve or something.
Yeah, I sometimes I put 2 or 3 pictures in a slide to save time. So he's under the water. She's counting 87, 88. Building up the tension. They're biting his back and his arms now. They're there, the fish. So we get the bloodied water, the Cairo syrup. They had to rebuild this sanitation station as well because of all the Cairo syrup that got all over everything. No,
don't you wonder?
So there it is.
Into the river,
The sanitation, the garbage. Hazard. How do we say garbage?
What is this shot right here?
This is he's
Garbage.
opened. He's garbage. Thank you. he's opened the valve that's letting out the sewage that's going to kill these fish.
Ooh, okay.
And could kill him too. He's down in there in the water.
I would think.
So she counts to 100 and she guns it, and he comes through the window. Fish still attached to him. When she pulls the wire up, it's been cut. It's broken. But he's still alive.
And with the peace sign too.
Well, yeah, they chewed off the ends of his fingers, but he can still kind of make a peace sign. And then we get to the newscaster saying blood, carnage, and we see the blood and carnage, of course, and it's a mess. And Buck is having a terrible time, hitting camera people. He becomes Alec Baldwin all of a sudden. He's slugging camera people. What are you shooting? What are you shooting?
And no lawsuit here.
What are you shooting?
He's so subtle, Dick, isn't he?
I'm out on a beach in a hot coat, for crying out loud.
And he ad-libs most of it,
Did he really?
A lot of it. That's Dick.
Oh, funny.
I mean, he just keeps going, until he finally hears cut, If he doesn't hear it, he keeps going.
And we see Bradford Dillman for the last time.
Oh,
he's breathing.
A little rough.
He's breathing. He looks rough, but he's breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get another interviewer who really doesn't look like an interviewer. He looks more kind of like a lounge lizard, but
from out of where?
he's asking Dr. Mengers what she thinks, and she's like, "Oh well, of course it's over, and there's nothing to worry about," something like that at the end of the movie. And of course, we get a shot of the ocean. She gives us a little sly smile.
Yes, gives us that little smile of hers. She's such a lovely creature. She really is. She's so mysterious, and she's so bad in this movie. I mean, she's just a mean person. Well, she.
I wouldn't say Glenn Close bad in what was the movie with the bunny where she
Fatal Attraction.
Fatal Attraction. I wouldn't say Fatal Attraction bad, but she was up there.
No, she was. Let's make these fish able to kill lots of people. That's how she was.
Okay,
it was
so
a war.
It
was a war. It was all about war. That was the whole point of it.
Yeah.
Let's go kill people over there, right?
So Joe actually allowed people to improvise quite a bit.
Quite a bit
when they did.
Yes.
Oh, that's good. That's good director.
Well, I mean, if it's on point, if it's not on point, it's like, could you say your lines?
Right. And that can be boring.
Well, no, because it's John Sayles, so really it wasn't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, John is a great writer, and
True.
We were very. I think this is why both The Howling and Piranha became classics.
Right.
Not only because of Joe, but because of John and because of Rob Bottin.
Yes.
Notwithstanding the
Good
cast,
team.
of course, but Rob Bottin, yeah.
So that last shot of the sea, we hear that sound of them eating. They're eating crabs and lobster right now.
Yeah, they're having a lovely dinner. Sushi.
Eating octopus. Anything in the ocean. They're going for it. And that's the end of the movie. That's it. Piranha.
And then I have these large men come up to me at conventions saying things like, "Oh my God, when you died, I just cried and cried." Like, really? And ever since I saw this movie, I can't go in the water. How old were you when you saw it? Oh, 6. Do you have parents? I mean, I was like, are you kidding? Why were you seeing this movie at 6? It would definitely affect you, don't you think?
Laura and Susie definitely were very upset when you died.
Aw.
They were reaching out to you. Please don't go.
Don't go.
We love you, Betsy.
That's
It was a glorious death scene.
Hey, it was more than what I got when I died in The Howling. You know what I mean?
That was a glorious death scene.
That was like, no. My acting partner came over, took a look at me, and turned around and walked out of the room. Do you recall? I was like, Dee, we're supposed to be BFFs, a little tear, just even a,
Well, there's her dead body.
Like, whoa.
But no, I mean, you got lifted up by the werewolf in front of a window, before he puts the bite on you. It's a wonderful death scene. I have a great story told to me by actress Andrea Powell, who was Sasha the vampire in the last Twilight film. And she said that Robert Pattinson has a very twisted sense of humor. And he says, and out of her death scene, she gets decapitated by another vampire. So he comes in and he says, what a wonderful death scene. What a glorious death scene. See, all I ever get to do is walk into a room, look around serious, and then walk out again.
Oh, funny.
So she has that memory.
Right. No, I have had very good death scenes. I'm actually quite... I hear from people that how effective they were.
You're a pro.
I guess. This is not something you really want to be known for, but
It looks good on a resume. Well, I died in this movie.
I lived in Amazon Women.
You did. Your husband died.
Yes, he did, for a change. And maybe I lived in another one. Oh, Gremlins I lived in.
You live in Gremlins, yeah.
I lived in both Gremlins.
Yes.
That's right. This is market improvement.
Yeah. And you were with Paul Bartel in Gremlins too at the movie theater.
That's right.
So yeah. Any other insights you want to give on this particular movie, the making of it, or the marketing of it, or this training film?
I mean, for me, it was really my first kind of bigger movie than, say, Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, which was very independent. And even though I think Bobby Joe is a great little film myself, but I could be a little prejudiced.
Now, did Food of the Gods come after this?
After, let's see, it went, after Bobby Joe and the Outlaw, I did Food of the Gods.
Oh, okay. And then,
because Marjo had a 2-picture deal with AIP.
Okay.
And I guess I didn't realize Food of the Gods was AIP, but I guess it was. Because Lou came down or up there. And is Sam's son, right? Lou Arkoff. And so, yeah, that means it was AIP. But I didn't have a 2-picture deal. I had just done Bobby Joe and Marjo, and everybody liked me, I guess. And so they just cast me in it. I mean, didn't even know he was going on to do it. But I was asked to just go on and do it. So I did.
And you got to give birth in front of a bunch of giant rats
did.
that are surrounding the windows of the building. Look at that.
I give birth in this movie. I mean, my whole soundtrack is really like pretty funny if you were to just put my soundtrack together, because I'm just running, running from cancer, or I'm giving birth, or something. But if you just put the soundtrack together, it could be interpreted in many ways.
Well, when I watched that training film, I was like, no, they're not going to show the baby. They're not going to show the baby. And they did.
And they
They showed the full birth.
The full birth. And I watched a lot of footage on how to do that, so I did. What's so funny is that I had done this pilot, I guess, for Fred Williamson called Black Eye. And Jack Arnold was directing it, and it was supposed to be a series for him that never ended up happening. But on it, wait, what was I starting to say? I can't remember. Anyway, what were we talking about right before? And I'll remember.
We were talking about the Food of the Gods, the birth scene, and then you said,
yeah. Oh yes, that I had actually on the Fred Williamson movie, I'd used the Marjo Gortner movie that Marjo made about being an evangelist in order to be I don't know if you ever saw the movie Black Eye, but in it I get baptized and I become an evangelist. And so I have this whole movie where I ride down to the floor and I come back up, and I used Marjo's movie as research for that. It was so funny to then later be working with Marjo, It was pretty bizarre.
Fighting giant rats and chickens.
With giant rats and chickens, and with Linda Carter and Jesse Venn and Mary Lynn Ross in well, we were mostly in New Mexico.
Bobby Joe.
Did you ever see Bobby Joe? It was a great movie.
Long time ago I saw it because I'm a huge Linda Carter fan.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was a pretty good little movie.
Yeah. So again, after this, your relationship with Joe Dante just grew, and he called you back in and you did a lot of behind the scenes stuff like writing and things in these movies.
Well, I mean, I'm in a situation where he's like, Paul and I wanted to do that scene. So I don't know how I got I don't know why he told me to go home and write one, but I did, and it worked out. And then in Gremlins, it was because I didn't have a script. I wasn't delivered a script. I think I told you that I called the night before and said, "Where's my script?" And he said, "Where's mine?" And he'd been shooting for like a month, and I'm like, but he said, "Just improv." And I don't even know what a gremlin is. And he said, "Neither do I." So we were like, okay. But of course I panicked and I wrote about 20 scenes and brought them in. And, it's just me wanting to be sure that I'm on the right train,
Yeah.
So.
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again
with Picardo, because he's so funny, and in Amazon Women in the Moon, we just were hanging out, so we just started improvising, actors, and so and so Joe came over and said, "We're ready to go shoot the scene," and Bob's like, "No, wait, you got to see this scene, right?" And he said, "Oh my God, let's shoot it." He loved it, It's just we were lucky to work with Joe at a time where he wasn't being run by studios. And at a time when everybody was there to have fun and make a good movie together.
Right.
And that to me was what was so great about all of it.
And Bob Picardo also was in a lot of Joe Dante films.
Yes, almost all of them, I think. Yeah. And he's such a great actor, and he's so funny,
All right. Well,
he plays the male monster in Explorers, but I'm the female voice in Explorers of the female monster. So we work together even when you can't really see one or the other of us,
The aliens on the ship.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
The mother and father.
Great fun.
He actually plays the son and he plays the father, right?
Yes, he can play anything, he just changes his wig and voice, and he's so talented.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show and helping us get through Piranha and giving us your insights and your stories. Really appreciate it. We hope you have a good summer.
Thank you.
And
I'll be going to Arizona. If anybody out there will be in Arizona in October, Halloween weekend, Joe and Dee and I will be there for a reunion of The Howling.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Which convention is that?
Oh, he's going to kill me because I don't know. Then I'll write to you and tell you that get you. the right
Okay.
information. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
want to get
you've given the
off.
location, so that's the main thing.
Right.
They can look it up. All right.
Bye.
Have a great time and keep an eye out for those big monsters, everybody.